Let me see if this is working now. Let's see. If you guys are in the chat, let me know if the audio is working. Sorry, had some problems. Still no audio? Still? I'm good, right? Okay. All right. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Little bit of audio problems. Well, this is now going to be the most anticlimactic announcement ever. But it's okay. I appreciate. It's a good thing I checked the chat at a certain point and and see that you guys were no audio seemed to be a pretty common comment. Okay, sorry. I usually don't check the chat because I find it distracting while I'm trying to rant. Okay, so I have an announcement. You may have guessed it by the title of this video, or if you were a lip reader during the live stream that I just put up with no audio. All right, I am joining the Libertarian Party today. That's my announcement. All right, and I'm going to give full credit to the Mises Caucus, and particularly to Michael Heiss, who organized that caucus. And these guys have inspired me to do it, and I'm doing it. So I thought for today's video, I would just talk a little bit about what led me to making this decision and why this was in my on my mind. So, you guys probably saw my last video. I did defending Ron Paul, who was getting smeared for this, ridiculous thing where he, I don't know, they tweeted out the wrong image. By the way, I've talked to some of the people involved at this point. It was some staffer who made a mistake, who's like the most anti-racist, anti-Nazi guy you could imagine around, who's probably just feels terrible right now. And I don't want to digress too much into that stuff, but it's like even like the people who are like, whoever that staffer is should be fired immediately. Like, oof, man, when people get politically correct, they really just have no soul anymore. Like, really? Someone should just lose their job because they made like the smallest little mistake and then corrected it immediately? Anyway, while I was defending Ron Paul, it got me into, a little bit of a nostalgic mood about the Ron Paul moment and how fun it used to be to always defend Ron Paul when the media would be attacking him for whatever other nonsense, and they'd be ignoring all the great things that he stood for. And really, I said in that video, I almost felt like the whole thing was a net positive because it got people back into, I think anytime Ron Paul is his name is out there, it's a positive, because with the internet these days, people aren't just listening to a CNN clip, or they're not just like reading an article, they're like, okay, now I'm going to put his name into YouTube. Now I'm going to put his name into Google. Now I'm going to see what's up. And before you know it, they're just like, oh man, this guy seems like the sweetest guy in the world. And I don't think he's so bad. Doesn't really seem like a Nazi to me. So anyway, I was kind of nostalgic about the Ron Paul moment. And, I was thinking about that because Ron Paul really is the last time I was actually in the political world that I actually like supported a candidate. And then of course the Mises Caucus, they just had this event which I wasn't able to make. I had some family stuff come up. I was planning on attending, but I wasn't able to. But they had this event, the Take Human Action Bash, and I was just really impressed with what they put together. This is they've really been doing some amazing stuff. The caucus is the fastest growing caucus in the Libertarian Party, which is the third biggest party in America. And they won the vice chair, and they put some other people up for races. But more so than that, I was just really impressed that they got all of these great people together for their event. I mean, they had Ron Paul video in, they had Tom Woods speak, Scott Horton speak, Michael Bolden speak, Larry Sharp was there, and some other really great people. And it just kind of got me feeling like, man, we got to do something here. We got to do something. I've for a long time, I've really not, I haven't gotten involved in political action of any type, because really, ever since Ron Paul, there was no one in the game who inspired me, who I was like, oh, I could actually get behind this candidate or this group or this party. And I just can't help but notice. I mean, I know a lot of the like libertarians, particularly ANCAPs like myself, will be like, well, we're against the state, so we don't need to be involved in the state at all, and we can just be over here. And that's why you have these movements, like agorism, and people talk about, like local issues. And I'm fine with all that. It's nothing against it, but I just look around at like how much more of a movement we had when Ron Paul was running for president compared to now, where we're all completely split up and divided, and there's kind of no leadership. And it's hard to look at that and not say, yeah, you know what, it was demonstrably better when we had a national candidate. And what I said, if you go look at my, I put out a video right around the election between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and I put out a video basically saying don't vote. But if you listen to the video, what I said was that if I'm going to vote or I'm going to support a political party, they got to inspire me. And it's got to be somebody who actually convinces me like, okay, this person is worth it, or this group is worth it. And Michael Heiss and the Mises Caucus, they've done it. They've done it for me. And I just think the more I think about the Ron Paul moment and then to where the libertarian movement is today and everything that's going on politically, I don't think we can sit on the sidelines and not have our voice heard and not try to participate at all. Something is happening in this country, and it's big. And that's a quote from Ron Paul. But there's still something going on today that's happening in this country, and it's big. And what you have right now are you have the two major parties being completely destructed. Is that a word? Destroyed? You have destruction in both the parties. Now, on the Democratic side, you have basically a split between the as Lew Rockwell calls them, the left-wing neocons, which are basically like they're also referred to as the neoliberals, the war hawk, corporatist establishment Democrats. Think Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, all those guys, right? And then you have the wing that has the young people and the energy behind it, which would be the socialists. I mean, they call themselves democratic socialists, but I know a socialist when I see one. And so that's like Bernie Sanders and this Ocasio-Cortez woman and a few others. And in this split, there is just nothing that I can get behind. I mean, I root for the destruction of the party, but I as much as I hate the warhawk, left-wing neocon, neoliberals, I can't get behind a democratic socialist who wants to, who's I think their plans would basically be the destruction of the country. So nothing over there. And then you have the Republicans, where they have the 500-pound elephant in the room, the president, Donald Trump, who does a good job of pissing off all of the right people, but when it actually comes down to his presidency, it's been a disappointment, at least as far as I'm concerned. And I thank Donald Trump for destroying the Bushes and the Clintons, and I thank Donald Trump for destroying the idea that a president has to be politically correct. I thank Donald Trump for greatly degrading the office. I think all of those are good things. But you know what? They've all been done. Everything that Donald Trump, every positive from the libertarian perspective that Donald Trump would bring to the table has already been achieved. And all of the hopes of what he could do that would be really good, well, he's not doing any of that. Donald Trump ain't draining the swamp. Okay? When you got Pompeo and Bolden and representatives from Goldman Sachs all around your cabinet, you're not draining the swamp. Donald Trump's not ending the wars. He sent a few thousand more troops to Afghanistan. The rate of casualties has been up. He's bombed Syria. He's keeping us involved in all these other places. We're in Niger now, for God's sakes. The Congress didn't even know about that. The military budget, which, as Ron Paul would point out, should not be referred to as the defense budget, but the military budget has gone up from Obama, which went up from George W. Bush. Government spending is going to be higher under Donald Trump than it was under Barack Obama. Remember that Kenyan socialist Well, Donald Trump's spending more money than him. He's making the government even bigger. And I all the issues that I care about the most are going completely unaddressed in the Trump administration. So the wars are raging on. He's not ending any of those. I mean, to his credit, he hasn't started any new ones, I guess, but he's, I guess unless you count Niger, but I think we were there under Obama. I don't even think anyone really knows. But the wars are going on. The Federal Reserve doesn't even get mentioned. The audit the Fed stuff that he briefly talked about in the campaign, none of that stuff's happening. The war on drugs, well, he gave this attorney general who's some freaking cartoon character out of Reefer Madness, so nothing good on that end. And government spending, which may not be as sexy an issue today as it was in 2010, but believe it or not, it's still the most important issue. And the only ones who really seem to care about that are the true libertarians. So I got nothing. There's nothing I can support in the Republican Party or the Democratic Party. I mean, that's been true for a long time. But now I look around and I think to myself, okay, so Trump's going to be running for re-election in 2020. The Democrats are going to fuck up again and put some corporatist on the ticket. Because believe me, you can already see how they're trying to change the rules to make sure Bernie Sanders can't run. Also, Bernie Sanders is going to be 130 at that point. So they're not going to let some Democratic socialist run who they're going to be afraid of. They're going to put up another just horrible corporatist Democrat candidate. Once again, the two candidates are going to have the highest negative ratings probably in history. They might even top what Trump and Hillary Clinton had. And who's going to be the third party? Whoever it is, they're going to get a lot of attention. Now we can go the same route and put someone like Gary Johnson out there, who will basically be like an intellectual lightweight pothead. We could put someone like Bill Weld up there, who will basically just be like, I like Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump is, saying mean things on Twitter. By the way, you notice in my criticisms of Donald Trump, none of them were that he said mean things on Twitter. I don't care what he said about Elizabeth Warren last night or the Me Too moment. I care about wars, government spending, the war on drugs, and the Federal Reserve. And if there's a group out there, as there is now, with the Mises Caucus in the Libertarian Party, who's actually trying to make sure that there's real libertarian candidates that are being supported, well then, you know what? I think I'm going to have to support those guys. I think that's what I'm going to have to do. So, by the way, the thing that pushed me over the edge, I should mention, is that Tom Woods said that he was going to join the Libertarian Party. And I know he was inspired by the Mises Caucus as well. So, if, as everybody knows, Tom Woods is my general and I'm his soldier, or some slightly less status analogy. But so when I see all these great people getting involved, I see people who are truly fighting for the pure libertarian Ron Paul message. You know what? I think I'm going to have to jump in there. So I'm going to join the Libertarian Party today. I'm going to do everything I can to help support the Mises Caucus guys, and let's try to get a candidate in 2020 who can actually go up there and wake some people up and change some people's hearts and minds. And I think there still are lying dormant the remnants of the Ron Paul movement, and I think we can pull a lot of these people back who have lost their way. Let's just say that. And for the other people, I think, I think if we have some true principled libertarians who are on board, there's a whole lot of these kind of libertarian ANCAPs who have completely walked away from the political system. And I don't blame them for doing that, but I think now is the time to not just sit idly by. We got an opportunity, so let's take it. All right, so there's my thoughts. I'm joining the Libertarian Party today. I'm encouraging other people to do it as well and to support the Mises Caucus. Credit to Michael Heiss, Tom Woods, and of course the great Ron Paul. And that's my video for today. I'll be podcasting at 6 p.m. Eastern on GasDigitalNetwork.com. All right. See you either today at 6 or Monday at 3 p.m. I'll be back with a new video. All right. Thanks, guys.